Speaking of Copilot, we did have a Copilot question come in, so I am going to ask it. They want to know if we could provide the instructions of how we use Copilot to prioritize emails. So, Bob, if you have any to share later, I also have a couple that I can. But
There are some good ones.
there
Yeah, for
are some
sure.
good ones. So here's a question for you. When you're talking about the prompting, and for those, I didn't even realize this. I was out at an event and I brought up prompting. And then I kind of could see that there was some confused faces. And I was like, wait a minute, does everybody know what prompting is? And nobody raised their hand. So I'm like, oh, wait, okay, that's an opportunity. So prompting, just like when you go on Google and you type in those keywords, you're doing a search. It's the same thing when you're over in these AI systems. Prompting is what you're telling the system you need them to help you with. So it's that initial information that you're providing where you're asking them to help you. It's called a prompt. And the more efficient you are at prompting, then the better it gets. So my question for you is, how many go-to prompts do you have? Is there certain areas where you look for prompts, or just any secrets that you can share when it comes to prompting? I'm sure, especially when it comes to that Copilot question, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no, it is great, and we shouldn't assume, right? Because
Exactly.
there's a lot that goes into this, and prompting is one of those things. Maybe it's not an art, but you have to be specific, right? The answers you will get out are good as the questions and prompting that you put into these tools, and you can refine them along the way. If you say, make me an email that I want to send out to all of my clients about Medicare, you're going to get something that's probably okay. But if you really wanted it about a Medicare Advantage, or you really wanted it about AEP, or you really wanted it about special needs plans, or you really wanted it to mention, prescription drugs, you've got to say all those things. I want a Medicare email blast. I want you to give the dates about AEP. I want you to make sure you specifically talks about that the drug plans are available as part of Medicare Advantage. You've got to go through that, spend some time, and you'll get better at it because you'll see the results that you're getting. The great thing about Copilot, I'm going to give Copilot another plug here. It's built on ChatGPT, so you could literally, and I did this the other day for an agent who wanted a basic presentation. You could just say, give me a basic presentation regarding the rules of Medicare A, B, C, and D. Keep it short. It'll give you that information. And then you can just say, now make it into a PowerPoint presentation for me. And it'll build in a couple of minutes the PowerPoint for you. Now, just like anything from AI, I would read it all, make sure it's right. It's a PowerPoint, so you could obviously change things to it. But prompting is really important. The better you become at it, the better your results will be. So it's a really interesting conversation. Once you get in there and play around with it, there's a lot you can do in those LLMs, if you would, to get better results.
And keep an eye out for those of you watching today. We are putting a prompt formula cheat sheet in that prompt library that we're going to be sending you after today's session. So you always have something to refer back to put those practices that Bob was just talking about into play. How do you be as specific as possible to get the generated response that you're looking for? We had another question, Bob, about how folks using AI can avoid having to remind it time and time again what they've already discussed. So the question is, how can they avoid that time-consuming task? Really quickly, I just want to recommend that most LLMs have a way that you can categorize and pin certain conversations so that you aren't having to hunt for previous conversations about a script that you wrote or email subject lines that you were drafting. So I would recommend that you pin certain conversations to the side. But on that topic, how have you been able to lean into your historic use of some of these tools for efficiency without having to remind it time and time again, Bob?
So first off, just make sure you're logged in to whatever platform you're using, right? Just a basic AI search, that you're doing here and there in your regular search bar is not going to be as good as if you're logged into one of the platforms. So if you're logged into ChatGPT, you've got your account, you made the point, you can create things called projects. So we can have projects called Medicare projects or annuity projects, social media projects, whatever they may be, and you can go into those projects and build inside of those. So I may have a project about AEP. I'm going to do AEP reminders, and I'm going to go into it again when I have something new that I want to do in AEP, and it'll reference the stuff I already had in there. Hey, you said that the dates were important, so I'm putting the dates on this. You said that it's important to talk about the prescription drugs, so I'm going to include that in there. So it will reference those. Make sure you're logged in. Create projects. Otherwise, you're just going to have a long string of hundreds and hundreds of things that you've done over time. That's going to be difficult to reference, right? The more you use it. So great point. You've got to make sure that you're utilizing the tools that are inside of the AI platforms, if you will.
One more point, and I know we're going to jump to another question, but just one more thing to note. You can also tell whatever LLM you're chatting with, hey, remember this for future conversations. So if the previous, 4 or 5 points that were made, you can literally just say, hey, store this as a memory and then use it for all future conversations. And then it'll store that, whatever message you want it to remember, as a memory.
And then the LLMs also have within the settings where you can go up to the overall setting. So if there's something where like I have a rule, don't ever put an M dash in any of the responses that you give me, because I am not smart enough to use the M dash in an appropriate way, and I never have been. So I've never used it before. Don't have me using it now. And so in my settings of the overall system, that's where I set those type of things of, I don't use words like this. Don't ever give me the word, what is it? Familiarity. I can't say it. Don't give it to me. And so I always take those type of things and I put them up in the settings. So if there's something important that you always wanted to remember for every conversation that you're having, make sure that you put that up into the overall settings, and it will keep that in mind, and it will almost act as a filter over all of your other conversations. All right, next up for the questions, because the questions are coming in. In your opinion, is it efficient to use 2 or more AI tools for the same prompt?
You could certainly bounce them off of each other, right? Just like asking 2 different people for their opinion on something or some topic or some way of doing things. You could get a slightly different result or answer. So there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, you're not copy and pasting anyway, right? We talked about that. So you've got to take the information and you got to utilize it in the way that best makes sense for you. And you're gonna use your EAT.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me recently if what my thoughts were on the AI aggregators that are out there now. So there's tools that you can go to. You put your prompt in one spot, and it literally will send it to the top 6 to however many AI tools out there, and it will give you the responses from all of them so you can compare and see them. And when they asked me, I had to think about it for a little bit, because I'm like, I don't really know how I would like that. But then in reality, like, do you really want to use all those tokens and all those AI tools for that same, like, to me, each one has a purpose. Each one has its strengths and its weaknesses. And if anything, one of the things that I find the most valuable is asking the question in one and fact checking it in the other. So then that way I have it debating, and I'm not asking the same system to debate itself. I'm taking it, whatever answer it gave me, I put it over in Perplexity or another platform, and I say, hey, can you fact check this for me? Is this accurate? Do you see anything where this would not be accurate? And I love seeing some of the responses, because sometimes they'll come back and they'll be like, well, it's kind of accurate. Yes, it is because of this website who stated it, but is it actually accurate? According to this website, yes, but that was one survey of X amount of people. So it really helps, I think, set the tone and gives you those things that maybe, you didn't think of when you got that first answer.
Well, guys, I feel like we could keep going for another hour. Okay, let's squeeze in one more.
Because this one just came in. Bob, what are your favorite apps to use that directly connect with the LLMs?
I really, if I'm being honest, we use the Microsoft suite. I mean, those are the ones that we utilize in here. I mean, what we do internally is really working and helping agents. A lot of times they're looking to build presentations that they're using at educational events, for example, which is all year round. So that's where we're really utilizing it for the most part. There's a lot of collateral being built.
And there's a lot of opportunity still left to be had in 2026. So if you are new to AI and you need help getting started, please reach out to the AmeriLife Marketing Mentors. And if you would like to reach out to Bob, Bob, where can folks find you?
Well, you can always find my contact information at the Pinnacle website, which is P like Paul, F like Frank, S like Sam, insurance.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, but all my contact information is out there on the website. So feel free to hit me up with any questions.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today for such an incredibly insightful conversation. It's awesome to see what you and Pinnacle are doing, especially as AI continues to advance. Watching you guys advance along with it has been a real treat. And again, thank you for your time and insights today, Bob. It's been a fantastic chat.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
And you have a podcast, right?
We do have a podcast, Insurance
Okay,
360. Absolutely.
there you go.
We try to have a little bit of fun.
Exactly. And I know you guys, I love seeing the thumbnails and watching. You guys are always incredible. You guys always have fun, which is why I wanted to make sure that you mentioned it, because I think it's a great value add for everybody to follow along to learn, as you guys also. There you go. There's the cup. Awesome. And then also for AmeriLife Marketing Mentors, please follow along with us. Also, we love to connect with people. If you have additional questions, I know more are coming in. We definitely will get to those questions, and please feel free to reach out to us also. And until next month, thank you everybody for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. David, any last words?
Yeah, keep an eye out at the AmeriLife Marketing Mentors podcast, because this week we are launching a 5-part series called AI for Agents. So if you want to continue getting AI tips and best practices and strategies, then that is a series you won't want to miss. We're going to be rolling out a new episode every week starting tomorrow. So subscribe to the AmeriLife Marketing Mentors podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Again, I'm David. That's Joe. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.